Subscribe to Bizbo and press the bell icon. See boring news turn into enjoyable stories. Wakanda, the mythical kingdom of Black Panther, was protected by an invisible shield made of vibranium that prevents outsiders from entering its territory. Similarly, in sporting events today, an invisible bio-bubble keeps all stakeholders safe from the dreaded virus. Something that Delhi Capitals coach Ricky Ponting felt really good about.
Right now, we are probably the safest place in the country.
Not so safe as it turned out. IPL 2021 started bang on time and with its usual hype. But in less than a month, with 31 matches still to go, BCCI called for an emergency meeting. Within 10 minutes, the fate of the world's biggest cricketing league was sealed. After BCCI Secretary Jai Shah put his foot down when some members argued for its continuation. So how come IPL 2020, conducted in a similar bio-bubble in the UAE, never had even a single positive case? At the time the itinerary of IPL 2021 was being decided, authorities seemed to think that they had beaten the virus.
India under Prime Minister Modi has fought the most successful battle against COVID-19 in the world.
Therefore, 6 venues were chosen in far-flung locations crisscrossing over 6,000 kilometers, instead of the 3 close-by locations played in the previous edition, with the furthest distance between any venue being no more than 320 kilometers. Football's Indian Super League, with 11 franchises, more than the 8 teams of IPL, had selected Goa as its sole venue for all matches. And even though the tournament was conducted over 5 months, not a single positive case was detected over all this time. With the experience gained in conducting a virus-free event, Neeta Ambani, chairperson of the Football League, approached the BCCI.
We should have the same type of arrangement for the IPL.
But was politely rejected. Mumbai, with the Brabon and Wankhede stadiums within walking distance of each other, plus a second hub of DY Patil in Navi Mumbai and the MCA Stadium in Pune just 108 kilometers away, could easily have been selected and was once considered too. Travel between venues could easily have been via biosecure buses, similar to how teams travelled in the UAE last year. Instead, commercial airlines and public airports were used, which had scope for several leakages. Was there a political agenda for BCCI selecting venues in states which were headed for polling? 2 of which happened to be at opposite ends of the country and stretched the limits of the biosafe bubble. Coincidentally, both West Bengal and Kerala, despite being football-crazy states, were rejected as potential hosts of ISL as heavy campaigning was going on due to impending state elections. For IPL 2020 held in the UAE, the team stayed in the same room for the entire duration of the tournament. But in IPL 2021, they were moved from hotel to hotel and from plane to plane. So it was no surprise that player after player began testing positive as the tournament progressed. In fact, the positive status of some players even before the tournament began should have raised huge red flags. But to be fair, India's second wave also coincided with the start of IPL. When IPL 2020 began in the UAE, the Gulf Kingdom reported 674 new COVID cases daily, rising to a peak of 1400 a day. Whereas when it started in India, it reported 152,000 daily cases on April 9th, after which it only went up, reaching a peak of 382,000 the day IPL was cancelled. 2 weeks into the tournament, Ravichandran Ashwin set off the exodus. When the off-spinner tweeted that he wanted to be with his family, some of whom seemed to have contracted the virus. Adam Zampa and Kane Richardson of RCB, though negative, opted out, while KKR's Varun Chakravarti and Sandeep Warrior had to be quarantined after testing positive, leading to the cancellation of the match between the two teams on May 3rd. With Delhi's Amit Mishra and Sunrisers Vidyaman Sahar testing positive the next day, and CSK's bowling coach and staff also getting infected, the IPL Governing Council were forced to put 4 out of the 8 teams in isolation. In an interview with the Sydney Morning Herald, the Australian leg spinner Adam Zampa was highly critical.
Of all the bubbles I was part of, the IPL bubble was the most vulnerable. In Dubai, I felt extremely safe.
IPL 2021 had several breaches. 11 groundsmen at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium tested positive, but surprisingly they were not part of the bio bubble. During the Delhi leg, 4 teams, instead of being sent to practice at the Arun Jaitley Stadium as scheduled, were directed to the Roshanara club outside of the IPL bio bubble, where the club's excited staff and relatives click selfies with players near washrooms, completely disregarding social distancing. BCCI President Sourav Ganguly weakly defended the fallout.
Players from Manchester City and Arsenal too got infected in England's Premier League,
but ignored ISL's successfully conducted league in Goa. Franchisees, while supporting the cessation, will surely be concerned about the as yet minor drop in valuations, the first time it has fallen in the past 8 years. Other losers include the broadcaster Star Cricket, who had pre-sold 3,200 crore worth of advertisement slots for the full tournament, but will charge advertisers only for the matches aired, or around half. Similarly, BCCI will get half the 54.4 crore per match fee from Star, who will in turn pay franchisees half their promised amount. But those at the bottom of the chain, the players, are likely to get their full fee, as franchisees are expected to honor their commitment. Players get their fee in 3 equal installments, the first when they arrive and the final 2 after the completion of the league. While the insurance cover for IPL 2021 is around 3,500 crore, $500 million, it surprisingly doesn't cover for revenues lost due to COVID. Title sponsors who may have ramped up production to cope with a flood of orders are other losers, and may end up getting a lesser income of around 2,000 crore. As will fantasy gaming companies and betting apps that depend on the IPL frenzy for most of their revenues. However, OTT and other digital platforms have benefited from the cancellation, as it has freed up 3 hours of viewers' time daily. These gains and losses though are only notional, as once IPL restarts, so will all their businesses. BCCI's main headache was to find a window for the rest of the season, what with a tight international schedule for all cricketing nations. Very quickly, 4 English counties, Middlesex, Surrey, Warwickshire and Lancashire, offered to host the lucrative league after the end of the India-England series on September 14th. But it was BCCI's favourite, the UAE, that was once again selected, as the only available window was during India's monsoons. Coincidentally, the league in 2021 is scheduled to start exactly on the same date as IPL 2020, September 19th. With the Gulf Kingdom being paid exactly the same amount pro rata as the previous year, which was 100 crore for 60 matches. Deja vu or what? Because there was not sufficient R&R, rest and recuperation time, between the India-England series with just 4 clear days before the IPL was to begin, reducing the seemingly unnecessary 9-day gap between the second and third tests could help get a larger break for Team India. So BCCI informally approached Ashley Giles, the ECB chief, who shot down the proposal even before it was formally conveyed.
We have no plans to prepone the series against India.
But the real reasons they won't do it is because it would again delay the inaugural The 100 tournament to be held before the India series, from which they too hope to earn enough revenue to cover up the massive losses incurred due to COVID. Actually, it is India's cricket schedule that is a mess. After the World Test Championship final ends on June 22nd, India will be sitting in England twiddling its thumbs for 1.5 months, till the series against England begins on August 4th. Well, not exactly twiddling, but will play ODIs with the visiting Lankans during the interim. Surely not the best way to warm up for a test series.
The itinerary is weird. The test series should have been played immediately after the World Test final. Instead, Bangladesh and Pakistan are visiting England. That's absurd.
So from a laid-back summer schedule, India will suddenly move into back-to-back tournaments with barely 4 to 5 days in between each of them. The IPL, with 10 double headers, will give players fewer rest days in between matches and push them to the depths of their physical endurance. Then test their mental endurance as they are forced to travel from bubble to bubble to bubble. The last-minute readjusted IPL still has a few minor hitches. The Caribbean Premier League in the West Indies plays its final on September 19th, the same date as the IPL's new window. BCCI has approached them too.
Hello Ricky, I wonder if you could prepone CPL by a few days so your players can make it for the remainder of IPL 2021?
The England team too will be on away tours to Bangladesh and Pakistan during IPL's window. But Giles is clear that he wants his players fit and ready for the 2 marquee events of World T20 and the Ashes in December. Some of the blokes may get a break. But that doesn't mean that they can go and play cricket elsewhere, meaning IPL. Cricket Australia too is yet to decide if their players can take part in the remainder of the IPL.
The decision can wait. The players have just been reunited with their families after a 2-week quarantine.
This may end up depriving some teams of their star players, at least for some matches, leaving franchisees to demand.
We should be allowed to have adequate replacements.
But Sourav Ganguly also cannot adjust IPL dates anymore.
IPL will be played even if some countries' players won't be available due to national commitments.
To fit in the IPL, India cancelled 2 international tours, clearly showing how the golden goose of IPL is more important to the cash-hungry board. As yet, BCCI hasn't decided whether India will be hosting the World T20 Cup or passing on the responsibility to the UAE.
We need a month's time to think about it.
If it is held in the UAE immediately after IPL, then ICC rules state a 10-day gap between tournaments, but there isn't a 10-day gap available. And anyway, India must host the World T20 to show that it is capable of running a COVID-free event. Bizbo's Limerick. COVID infected India's IPL league. Just like its citizens, it too was quarantined. Now forced to adjust, cricket boards are playing tough, withholding players, citing player fatigue. Subscribe to Bizbo and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever Bizbo releases a new video. Sources of all our information is listed in the video description section.